Welcome to In the Loop, the Charlotte Area Chambers podcast, where we talk about everything Charlotte with area business and community leaders. Here are your hosts, Chamber Chief Operating Officer Michael Orzak and CEO of Chase Media, Diane Chase.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Michael Orzak along with my co-host Diane Chase, and we're excited to welcome Craig Scharton, the director of Connect Labs Charlotte.
Thank you, Craig, for being here. This is really exciting what's happening with you and everything down at Connect Labs and the Pearl. And just as a starter, if people are not aware of this incredible innovation, and it's a sea change, in my view, coming to Charlotte downtown. So first of all, what is Connect Labs and what exactly do you do with them?
Great. So the Pearl right now is two buildings. One's the Center for Education. One is Research Building 1. And we're the 7th floor of Research Building 1. So if you see the Pearl over by Moorhead and McDowell, you see those two new buildings. We're on the 7th floor of the 10-story building. So we're 30,000 square foot space, and we have wet labs, dry labs, offices, shared equipment, staff support to really help further health innovation in the Charlotte region.
And on that point, if you could dig in a little more about what is really the purpose of this entire site.
Yep. So the Pearl is really all about health, innovation, and education. So people might be familiar with the fact that Charlotte 18 years or so ago was identified as the largest city in the country without a 4-year medical school. Well, now we have one. So Wake Forest School of Medicine is within the Pearl. We have Carolina College's health programs for nursing and health tech. We have a STEM program coordinating school districts for STEM students that opt into medical device or health innovation in a more general way. We have advocate health offices. That is all in the Center for Education building. The building that I'm in, Research Building 1, has a company called EarCAD North America. It's a surgical training facility. It will bring 8,000 to 10,000 surgeons a year to Charlotte for training on the latest equipment. And they have a variety of partners that they work with to assure that they always have the latest equipment to train on. Siemens Health and Ears is on the 5th and 6th floor of our building. And then Connect Lab Charlotte is on the 7th floor. And then we're in lease negotiations for the top 3 floors. We have a residential tower that will break ground this year, a hotel that will break ground this year, and then we're in the design phase for Research Building 2 and 3, and that's a response to how quickly we've had people interested and are moving into our buildings.
That's incredible. So Connect Labs itself is in the development area of that?
So it's a business support, entrepreneurial support organization. Okay. So we have, like I said, kind of move-in ready wet labs. So if you're a researcher, you wanted to plug in and get to work right away, we have the benches, we have the fume hoods, we have the electrical, all the things that you need to be able to move in and get started.
So he explained earlier to me, and I'll explain it because everybody else will probably appreciate this analogy. He said it's like the WeWorks kind of thing. So you're coming in as a small business or you have this idea or this plan. You've developed something and now you need a space to work on it.
Right.
And as you grow, maybe you outgrow Connect Labs, but you're there in the beginning,
right? Because
you need that hood with the lab because whatever you're working on.
All the infrastructure that is where I see Connect Lab is. It's kind of like it underpins everything else that's happening there. But at your recent open house, I was just ever since I've visited the site, been blown away about the incredible work and research that is internationally going to make an impact. And you have people coming from all over the world.
We do. I'd say it looks very international when you come onto the floor. We have people working on cloning some stem cells to test against different therapeutics for cancer research, for inflammatory disease. We have people making medical devices. We have people doing digital health. In fact, that's been a really growing area. We also have an office that is an investor corner. So we have 3 different investment groups that are on the floor that are there helping our companies become investment ready, but they're also sort of scouting the landscape to look for good companies to invest in. We have an economic development partner office. So the chamber wanted to set up a monthly office hours so that our members could find out what some of your members do. We could accommodate something like that. Okay. So there are a lot of resources out there, and really our goal is to make sure that we can connect the health innovators with those resources, hopefully locally, as quickly and easily as possible. It's economic development, but it's really fun to be doing economic development in a space where when you help this business become successful, they're helping alleviate suffering and improving human health.
Changing lives and improving quality of life. And plus you have a company up there doing robots.
That's right, we do. We have robotics, we have telehealth, we have, like I said, digital health going on. So we use the term health innovation because right away people go to what a lab looks like, or the latest drug or device. And it's much broader than that.
It reminded me.
I was saying earlier about the pants that have the magnetic fasteners to help people who might have an impairment be able to dress themselves more easily. So it's a pretty broad umbrella, but everything is helping us move in the right direction.
That's fantastic. And I had an amazing conversation with a couple of the people involved in research around Alzheimer's, and that's super encouraging what's happening with that.
We have people working with people that have suffered from stroke, different issues along that line, lung cancer research, all kinds of, really everyone should come through and just get inspired by what's going on right here.
It's incredible. I know. I felt like I was back in chemistry lab, biology lab, whatever. It's like, whoa, all kinds of cool stuff going on. Not to mention, it is an incredibly beautiful space. Oh my gosh. You want to talk a little bit about that and the art and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, creating an environment is really important. We're in this really cool building now. It gives you a certain feel when you walk in, and we want the people who are doing this health innovation to walk in and feel inspired and feel like they're surrounded with beauty. So we have rotating art shows every quarter, and they're open to the public. So it's a really good time to come in and not only see art, but see the companies that are growing within our space. But it's got a kind of a cool vibe. It's very well finished on one hand, but also a little industrial looking. We've kept some of the raw elements, but it's a space that does show off local art. We have a big fruit bowl made by a local ceramicist that is filled with fruit. So we try to remember health isn't always the drug. It can also be remembering your 2 helpings of fruit a day. You might reach for the unhealthy snack, but you have to reach over the fruit to get to it. So we at least give you the option. But we'll have a lot of programmed activity so people can learn about different aspects of developing their business. Learning from other scientists, learning from collaborators. So, one of the benefits of being in the Pearl is you do have crossover. Just today, I had a student from the Wake Forest School of Medicine send me her CV to see if she could get a summer job as a research assistant. So trying to make those connections. But we think about students at the medical school, but we've got incredible faculty. We've got EarCAD with the surgical training facility, but they have incredible faculty. We have Siemens Health and Ears right up above them. So we've got all these people in the building, and so we want to keep that true ecosystem developing and people collaborating with each other and supporting each other.
So you have a person that says, I have this idea or something. Where do they come from? Like, who comes to you that says, I want a lab, I need some space? Like, where is that person coming from? Because then I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, they can't be coming from a company because a company owns their intellectual property, probably. So you have to go through probably some kind of process to see if that person is actually a fit. But I want to know, where are they coming from? Because if they're working for a company, where does that idea belong?
Well, usually, at least at the stage we're in now, it's companies that have already had some traction. And they're looking for space, or they're looking to move into Charlotte. So we're getting more companies that are looking to move into Charlotte. This becomes a soft landing for them. They can continue to do their work as they're looking for a more permanent location. Track Bio, the ones doing the stem cell work, they actually moved their labs from Houston. Because of the proximity to the medical school and the surgical training facility and Advocate Health. So it's more people recognizing the value of being in an area where there's going to be a lot of collaboration, a lot of visibility. You know, Advocate Health being headquartered here is a huge draw because there are people either making something or making a new digital device or software that will be able to be used by the hospital, especially along some of their main initiatives like supporting rural health and underserved communities. A lot of people working in that space right now, and they have a whole innovation arm, so they can be a really big support for any of our companies.
Interesting. You mentioned earlier about the intersection with the medical school. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And are you kind of co-promoting, for lack of a better term, what's happening across the whole space?
All of us, I think, are able to give the tour pretty much for the facility. We do it quite a bit. So we take people over to see the really innovative things that are built into the medical school curriculum. The facilities that are there are very cutting edge. So that's kind of fun to show what people are working on there. I just did 3 tours with the medical students last week so that they can, really be exposed to the idea of entrepreneurship while they're learning medicine. Because they'll all have an idea. It might be in a year, it might be in 10, 20 years, but we want them to be exposed to the idea that when you see that there's a need for a product or service or a new way of doing things, that idea doesn't die. And you remember there are people out here that are willing to support you and help you bring that idea to life. So it's kind of a tough question to answer because we're doing it all the time. Right. It's just always focusing on how do we program activity within the facilities to get people out of their labs and out of their offices and cross-pollinating all the time. And sometimes with really like specific content and sometimes just having fun. Yeah. But it's constantly flowing and changing.
Yeah, I love that. And that is just like the petri dish for innovation and creativity, which leads to greater things.
And I'm glad students are, like you said, they're going to walk through, their minds aren't set in a certain way of this is how things have to be done. So that creativity is still there. Now they know they have a place if something pops up in their mind, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking of something really silly and stupid, but the upside down ketchup bottle.
Right.
That happened a long time after the ketchup bottle, right?
After we all struggled to shake it out.
Yeah. So like something like that could, but medically related pops into your head. Now I have a place to go. Well, and that's exciting.
I did a case study with a surgeon who down in South Carolina before we opened, because I was trying to really identify where all the pain points, that someone with an idea would go through. And he found there was a device he was looking for and found it didn't exist. And so he said, I'll just do it on my own and I'll design and make my own product. It took him 7 years. He told me all of the trouble he had, utilizing university equipment, and they could never tell him when it was available, or someone would go on sabbatical and it wasn't available anymore, or they could never tell him how much it was going to cost. And he went through 3 IP attorneys, and so he went through the whole thing. And then I brought him into Connect Labs when it opened and showed him all the things that we put in place. And I said, so how would this have changed your journey? And without missing a beat, he said, you would have saved me $1.5 million in 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
That's the value proposition of what we're doing.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Can you say what the product was?
Well, I probably shouldn't say that since I used it as an example.
Okay. Well, credit to him, whatever he did, and through lots of pain and suffering.
He did successfully come to market.
That is so cool.
But then you got to sell it, Yeah. Where are you going to sell it to?
Yeah.
And you got to package it.
I think that's very
right.
interesting that you have the investment people and the economic development people. Is there any kind of a marketing arm coming in, or?
Well, that'll be part of our programming. So if you break any business down into all the pieces that they need, we'll have marketing experts come in and talk. And you can even break down marketing even further. We were talking about an earned media panel.
Oh, sure.
Branding, that kind of thing, social media management, crisis management. I mean,
definitely crisis.
So there are so many pieces just in that one strand, but also HR, because you're developing a new cancer treatment doesn't mean you know anything about HR, right?
Right.
And there are HR companies. It looks like at what size should you have your internal HR? Do you want to use a fractional? Like making people aware of all the options in those kinds of business related functions. So bringing that programming in, but also talking to the businesses and saying, I was just talking to Michael before we got started, like you come up with a new device, you're not thinking about package design.
No.
That's 5,
right.
10 steps down the road. But if we're working on that now and lining up local package designers for you,
it'll be ready.
and when you do need it, you can plug right in and move on to the next step in developing your business. So that's where our staff support really comes in, identifying the resources, knowing when to use them. We have a lady who's a computer scientist, and she's working on a solution within the health field, and she needs to work on her intellectual property. So we'll schedule our conference room, bring in 3 IP attorneys, all within the field that she's looking for, and she can boom, 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 meet with all 3, make a decision, move on to the next thing.
Interesting. So you really have a whole business model ecosystem at the end of the day.
That's it. And anyone who's listening that's out there that's a local resource, we want to know about you so that you're plugged into it as well.
Fantastic.
You hear that? 850 members.
That's right.
And growing.
and yeah, so that's something that we'll also talk about. How do we connect our people with your people to say, Michael,
and who is the right connection?
Michael, I'm looking for X, know, and we.
And it's funny how it's really very broad. It can be everything from, we're going to have a barbecue, for a bunch of clients coming into town. Who can throw a good barbecue for us, to who can manage our Instagram account, or who can do commercial photography, any of these things, it's not specifically just for health businesses.
And you have
Any
a
business
wonderful
aboard.
community space there, and outdoors and indoors.
Yeah,
I
and that-
noticed when I walked through and around the building, I noticed there were a large group of, they must have been students, but like outside and hanging out
It's a
and kind of
very
thing.
cool
So it's
space,
Yeah, we have our front stairways
Mhm.
basically can convert into a 300-seat amphitheater.
Mhm.
So we can do music events. We'd like to get a farmer's market started at some point. But we have interior space that's very formal, like a tiered classroom, like you'd see in the movies, with great AV. We also have the lobby also converts into a 250-seat, really beautiful space. So, and then we have another space that's our coffee lounge during the day. Anyone can go hang out there. But in the evening, it converts into a really kind of a cool happy hour location. So variety of events that we can host within the building. And then we have a 400-seat facility on the third floor that we can do everything from breaking it into smaller rooms to a full, when EarCAD did its opening, the Charlotte Symphony played. So we can accommodate a lot of different sizes of groups.
My first pre-opening, whatever, I was talking to a couple of people who are more associated, I think, with the medical school, but they were talking about conferences coming in. So you have conference space, which a lot of people probably wouldn't know about.
Yes, we've been working with a couple of different groups to really give them more to sell in Charlotte. I don't know how to say it. They said the biggest problem we have is every conference room in town is booked. So,
Right.
there are people that are out promoting Charlotte as a medical conference, medical seminar destination. So we definitely want to participate with that.
Very cool.
And there are so many coming in, and we're really now in a position where we're trying to spread the word locally so that people know that these events are even happening. I mean, we are in a resource-rich environment. We have more of an issue. I'm sure you both feel this, that there are so many resources around us that the difficulty is managing them all and utilizing them.
Yes.
And what a special place to be in. I can tell you that the rest of the country and the rest of the world doesn't feel the way it feels here, where there's just so much in any direction that you can pull from. And it's such a positive environment. Everyone wants to pitch in and help.
You also, you're doing so many community impact things kind of under the radar, but I know you hosted the nonprofit gathering. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, anything we can do to be helpful. My goal is always to try to find a way to say yes. So we have several different events coming up. They're not specific to Connect Labs members.
Right.
They're always open. We have one event that people might want to be aware of called Health Innovation Day. That is coming up on April Fool's Day, April 1st, and it will be a full day of exhibiting local talent in the health innovation space, as well as a bunch of panel discussions. We've hosted NC Biotech, brought people from around the state, 250 people for a full day of discussions. We've had school districts, STEM Fest, that brought several hundred students to the building, and they got to interact with businesses that are there, lab space that's there, also as blow up organs that we had all over that they got to walk through and learn about. Doing to walk through a liver and lungs or whatever. It was really, as an adult, it was pretty darn fun. So, very community focused. In fact, the big chunk of the design of the building was a result of community input, where we do a lot to honor the Brooklyn neighborhood that was there before. If you walk around the facilities, there's a purposeful walk, which brings to life the history of the Brooklyn neighborhood that was lost to urban renewal in the mid 1960s through photographs and stories.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a QR code where you can actually hear the voices of the people who lived, worked, and owned businesses within that neighborhood, telling that story and keeping that history alive. So
cool.
really trying every way we can to plug in from the arts
Mm-hmm.
to the students to the entrepreneurs.
What is a challenge that is top of mind with you right now?
Well, I could get very specific. I'm looking for people in the insurance side of the equation that know about those processes and getting devices and therapeutics approved. Because we've worked through kind of the government regulatory processes, but then there's an insurance process of getting those things coded and having the ability to get paid for. I know they're out there, but that's something I'm looking for right now. I have a company that's specifically looking for a clinician in the lung cancer field, and if I can get them connected, then that will bring a company into Charlotte. So those are very specific things. On the broader picture, a lady, Hannah Maeda, and I have kind of co-founded the Kind Health Innovation Charlotte ecosystem work. So identifying companies that are out there, that's a constantly evolving list. So we have, again, back to ones and twos. We want to find everyone in the Charlotte region that is doing health innovation work. And then secondarily, we want to find out every business that could be supportive of those efforts, businesses and organizations. So that's kind of a immediate, medium, and long-term challenge, but it's a fun one because we found that the people that we have met with that are, as they become aware of this ecosystem work, that they're very grateful that it's happening. So it's not like we're having to talk anyone into it. They're like, we've been waiting for this for 5 or 10 years. And so that's coming to life. And that's been a really fun part of the project.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hopefully on those specific and general notes, our listeners and viewers will tap in and be knocking on your door. And then just in general, what does success look like for you, for your work, and for the Pearl?
So for me, my intrinsic value is helping. So whatever I can do to see that we're providing the service that is helping these companies to grow and succeed and make the world a better place, that's my internal goal and reward. For the Pearl, I think it's going to be almost impossible to measure because there's so much happening that, someone could say, we need to capture every story that comes out of this. It's going to be too much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just happening. Even after our grand opening, I walked through to all of our members and said, how'd it go for you? And every one of them said, I made 2 or 3 really key connections. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, well, where are those going to lead? You just don't know. It's going to be exponential in the results from the Pearl. So, we'll report out as much as we can, but it's going to be even bigger than any of us can imagine. So that will be success.
How do you feel about the awareness, where the awareness is of what is happening there?
I think in the health innovation world, I think we have pretty good awareness. We've been doing so many tours and talking to folks and others, but you can always increase your awareness. I'd like Connect Labs to have 100% market awareness within the health innovation system.
Of course,
we're not quite there, but I think we've made pretty decent strides. And then the next step to me is really getting out to the broader community. Michael and I were talking about manufacturing. I always hated having to drive past a bunch of manufacturing plants and wonder what was going on inside. And I don't want people in Charlotte to feel that way about the Pearl.
Right.
So the more we can create these community events like the open art shows and things like that. I want people to come in, and so that when they are driving down Moorhead and they see the building, they can tell the people in the car with them, you got to go in there sometime. There's this person working on diabetes and someone working on, kids with ADHD issues, and like really getting everyone else pumped up about it too, because, this is something that the community invested in the infrastructure to make this project work. So I believe the community owns part of it, and they should know about it, and they should all feel excited about it as well.
Sounds like you need a podcast.
No, if only.
You need a video tour podcast where you're walking around talking to people.
There are some videos out there,
So, and anyone out there who'd like to help us spread the word, and we're always, trying to amplify the companies that are doing the health innovation work. So when you see we post about one of our companies moving in, it always helps to like, comment, share, do all those things. And if, our ultimate goal is to make Charlotte the most supported place to do health innovation in the country. And that's really easy. And everyone gets to have a role in that, and it becomes a team sport. It's not just the economic development people out there going and do it. We all can have a part, and everyone can buy a pair of jeans from Emily. Aaron at Pump for Joy just did a crowdsourced investment. There are a lot of people out there that could just put that over the top, day one. Like, if we're all pitching in and doing what we can, that's what entrepreneurs are looking for. They're looking for people and places that can support their efforts. And I don't think anyone's in a better position to do that than Charlotte.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you. That's amazing.
Thank you, Craig. That was wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks for helping us get the word out.